All esteem, all praises to the Most High, Yahuwah. Yahuwah reigns. Thus says Adonai Yahuwah, he that hears, let him hear, and he that forbears, let him. Yahuwah, this day brings me before you to give you the revelation and understanding of the battle that took place in the heavens and the spiritual warfare that takes place to this day. The why and how sin and iniquity had been wrought in this earth realm, and the battle that we truly face every day, especially and more particularly as the children of Yah, the Most High Yah, the children of Yashael. Hasatan, or the devil, as some of you may know him as, was a cherubim. He wasn't just an angel, he was a cherub. And unlike the angels, he did not have a form. And Yahuwah as El means powers Hebraically. A lot of people just call him God. This is so because some people are actually, based off their lifestyles, based off their view and their perspective of their God, they are referring to a God that may be outside of the El, the powers that actually is the master of the heavens and the earth. If you really look at their lifestyles, again, their mindsets, you can see that they are not talking about the El of the Bible, the El of the scripts, because if we actually read it outside of just taking bits and pieces and verses of Yah's words, you will understand him in his heart and his word in revelation and gift of prophecy. And you need to understand that El of the heavens and the earth, powers, he is energy. He doesn't have a form, he's energy. He's actually exerted energy, right? He's the tower of invincibility. And we need to understand this, and we need to know this so that we understand and know how to please, how to obey, and how to follow this invincible tower that has the jurisdiction and authority over us because he made us. He is the creator of the heavens and the earth and all its inhabitants. And Yahuwah used Hasatan of the devil, whose name was Hillel, as the channel in which he revealed himself to the other angels too. So just given that, you see that Hasatan, Hillel, had a great purpose and function to Yahuwah and why he was made. And he got discontent. He did not stay satisfied with the reason why he exists. He turned away from giving Yahuwah the worship and esteem that is only due to Yahuwah. It belongs to him. And decided in his heart that he wanted that esteem. And he basically formed a coup against Yahuwah in the heavens. That's what happened. He formed a coup. And there were angels that follow him. But for every one that followed Hasatan, 2 chose to stay loyal to Yahuwah. This was the angels, the Malachim. This was their test. This was their first test. Was, what side were you choosing? And in the numbers, it proved that Yahuwah reigns. Because for everyone that chose Hasatan, every 2 chose Yahuwah. Their second test was a test again of their loyalty. And Yahuwah testing them to see how much they are loyal to him and how willing they were to prove that loyalty and to stand on that loyalty. And so that second form of their test was them having to kill their own brothers. Because when that coup arose and those angels at the time were tossed out of heaven, there was a mourning in the heavens. The angels were mourning because their brothers were tossed out. Their brothers had been found with this wickedness. There was so much wickedness going on, and the anger of Yah was kindled, so they were mourning. And Yah saw them mourning, and he understood them mourning in the sense of, these are your brothers. However, if you're loyal to me, then you will perceive the detriment of the wickedness that they have done, and even stating in their heart, or forming in their heart, a coup against Yah, rising up against Yah, going against Yahuwah. Therefore, you need to prove that you don't have that in you, that tendency, that you obey me, that you are subjected to me as your creator, and therefore you have to kill your brothers. And that's when the fight in the heavens happened, the war in the heavens, when Michael, the angels, Hasatan and his minions got destroyed, right? They were banished from the heavens. And Hasatan then went to pursue us, the bloodline children, descendants of Yashael. And he's come to pursue us fervently with the purpose of overthrowing our faith and keeping us from qualifying to fulfill the purpose of why we are. The reason why we were created was to replace the 1/3 of the Malachim that chose to follow darkness, that chose to follow Hasatan. That's why we were made. Yahuwah wasn't just lonely or he just needed us as companions. We literally were made to replace them. And so that's why we are. What you are, right? Or who you are, rather, is confined in what you are, right? So biologically, we are humans. We are earthen vessels, right? We are spiritual beings, rather, that dwell and live in these earthen vessels, right? So biologically, we're human species, men and women, right? And why we are is to replace the 1/3 of the angels that chose darkness. And we have to understand that the scripture didn't say that the day that we eat of the fruit, surely we shall die. That's a deception from Hasatan. It's a deception because it is to deter you and to create in you disbelief in Yah's word. Because clearly we know that when they ate the fruit, they did not drop dead. And clearly we see that we all live. However, we do see that we are and have the ability to die, that there's an expiration date. So it proves my point in the fact that the script really said, dying you shall die. Meaning that the day you eat of that fruit and you decide to take on the perception of Hasatan, you decide to want to be above Yah, you are perishing in that mindset. And taking on such a heart, you are decaying, you are dying, and you shall die, right? And we have to understand that we then went from the purpose and intent of living eternally to having an expiration date. And that expiration date is 120 years. And a lot of people don't make it to 120 years. Especially as bloodline Hebrews, we barely make it to 60, 70, 80 years old. But hallelujah, if you live to make it to 120, blessed be Yahuwah, Yahuwah reigns. However, you have to understand, are we just here just to live until the expiration date and die? Absolutely not. You are being tested and tried for 120 years of your loyalty. That is what Yahuwah set in play. He gave you a time span to prove your loyalty to him. He did it to the angels first, who were made before us. And he then made us to prove our loyalty, because we disproved our loyalty by taking on Hasatan's perspective in his seed in the garden. Yeah, so we should have dropped dead then. We also disproved our loyalty when Yahuwah gave himself as our el to the nation of Yashael, and we disobeyed him and broke that covenant. Yet Yahuwah still gives us breath in our bodies. He still allotted and made a way of escape for us in giving his son Yahushua HaMashiach. Yet somehow, some of us have, even after he's given Yahushua HaMashiach, chooses to stake his son over and over again through backsliding, going back to things and putting ourselves back in positions to be of the same hearts, the same speech, the same deeds in states of darkness that Yahuwah once delivered us from. Yahushua HaMashiach, by his stripes we are healed. He has done a great situational deliverance unto us, bringing us into his Father, mentally freeing us, emotionally freeing us, and some of our physical environments and situations have changed. Yet we stake his son over and over again. And Yahuwah is speaking now. He's speaking and coming to give you the charges, Yashael. Yahuwah finds in us these wickednesses. We have become revolters. Yahuwah calls us revolters still, because this isn't the first time. This is a cyclical thing that has been found within our midst. As the nation of Yashael, we become revolters, which is basically avoiders or decliners, right? Which is to remove ourselves from Yah and to reject his word. We've been avoiding the things within ourselves that Yahuwah hates. And we have comforted ourselves with words of peace. We've justified ourselves with and through our own deeds and works. And we've altogether declined the things that Yahuwah already know about us. And we refuse to actually do the work to be without these things. We refuse to actually be remorseful for the things that he's found within our hearts. Because Yahuwah is grieved and altogether disgusted and angered at these things that he finds within us. Because the appropriate response that we should have given as a nation of Yashael, being as though we literally have experienced his word being driven to the lands of our captivity, having these nations round about us, encompassing us, these strong ancient nations who came upon us, whose language we did not know, who stripped us, who defiled us more, whom we done worse than, in changing the judgments of Yah. We didn't perceive that or take that to heart in consideration. When Yahuwah woke us up, we didn't really meditate and dawn on the word of Yah and what we truly have experienced under that word of Yah. We didn't really take into consideration the experience of the word of Yah. We didn't become remorseful or grieved at our own actions against Yah. We didn't consider the depth of what these things have caused Yahuwah, the anger, what our fathers really did to Yahuwah and declining him. No, we puffed ourselves up. We do what's right in our own eyes. We seek to establish ourselves in the lands of our captivity and make our names great and build our family's wealth and foundation. We set not our hearts on Yahuwah. We have not had the appropriate response here. Yahuwah was expecting a people who were extremely, extremely expressive in gratitude and appreciation. A humble people who are able to acknowledge the privilege that they have to have been awakened and remember who Yah is and who they are in the lands of their captivity. We should have been and should be completely lowered and at the feet of Yah with our heads down because of what we did, our fathers did against Yahuwah. And because of his heart being revealed as the delighter of loving kindness and judgment. Yahuwah still choosing to identify his name within us. Him loving us, him making a way of escape for us. We have not pondered on and considered the heart of Yah, but we've been selfish. Yahuwah finds idolatry in our midst. We think that that's just if you build an actual altar, you have graven images. We think that that's just the person that's in Christianity and Islam and everything else. No, baby, it's the person as well that is a lover of themselves. The one that's consumed with themselves, the narcissist, the one that's consumed with their wounds and their traumas and their likes and their mindsets and their desires and their things and their personalities, the ones that seek comfort in their environments, the environmentalists, the social media idolaters of celebrities. And watch this, Hebrew celebrities, what I call them, which are the ones that may have numbers and are popular and known in Yisrael, whom the people worship and idolize and allow to lead astray, and some who force them to appease them, that the leaders then turn astray to please the masses and the people, that in their fierceness bullies them to alter the word of Yah. This is what Yah has found, idolatry. Altogether avoiders of what Yahuwah actually requires of you. We've told ourselves peace and there is no peace. Yahuwah has a very willing heart. You know why distrusting Yahuwah is a sin? It's because you're tempting him and you questioning or challenging his abilities, his powers, what makes him powers, his jurisdiction, his mightiness to do any and everything, for there's nothing too hard for Yah. As well as it is this sentiment that Yahuwah isn't willing. When he gave his son, when he has been long suffering towards us, how dare we distrust Yahuwah? How dare we say Yahuwah isn't willing to help us? Yahuwah is very willing. However, we have not become willing. We're not willing to do all that Yahuwah tells us to do. We're not willing to go everywhere that Yahuwah tells us to go. We are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So things may be approached differently by Yah in the way that he tests us and our loyalty, but understand nonetheless, it is a test and Yahuwah will get results. He has been. He's examining, has made determinations based off of things that are so simple but complex. Testing us and what we're attached to. Testing us and what we're interested in. Testing us and what we love. Testing us in our comfortabilities. Testing us in our stubbornnesses and the things that we're used to and what's familiar to us. Yahuwah has been stripping, adding, and taking away from us to prove our loyalty. Yet we're not willing. We're doing things that Yahuwah has not commanded us. If you don't have a fold, assembly, order, mishpaka, whatever you want to call it, then I'd advise you to be doing some strong fasting and setting yourself apart to figure out where you're supposed to be. Because just living off of a wound and telling yourself that I don't need no man or a place in order to experience or have Yah, is a strong delusion. Obviously, Yah is El of all. There's nothing too hard for him. Through the Son Yahushua HaMashiach is whom he instructs us through. Hallelujah. However, with the will and the plan of Yah, he is setting his people in multiple abundant of Goshens throughout the four corners of the earth to account for them, to watch them, to examine them. For this is a testing and trial error to see if you're able to actually flow in his kingdom, in obedience and in submission to the King of Kings, Master of Masters, Yahushua HaMashiach. You think you're just going to learn and know how to follow and subject in the day of his kingdom? Absolutely not. For there will be not another coup or revulsion ever again. Therefore, there will be no one in his kingdom that has any tendencies of Hasatan, any pride, enviousness, lust, covetousness, sneaky, lying, deceptive, personified spirits. Absolutely not. Greed, rebellion. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You will not enter into his kingdom. So if you can't be tested and tried and trained right now to get you prepared, you can't receive, you can't hear from those whom his son has handpicked and hired to build you up and to uproot and to plant, you will not enter in. And I'm going to speak with us, says Yah, in the way that he said, you shall perish. For Yahuwah speaks to the nation of Yashael who call themselves awakened, who are enlightened, who are aware, therefore you're accountable. Yahuwah has these things against you. You, Yashael, the awakened, you have been called and caught with pride and envy and rebellion in your midst. You have been called revolters, the ones that are avoiders. Yahuwah calls all of you busybody. This is what Yahuwah has found. And know you not that the children of Yashael who have not Yahuwah, the ones that either blatantly reject him or the ones who've yet to perceive who they are and whose they are, do you not see the detriment of their state? Are you not grieved with their state? Are you not saddened? Are you not angered? Are you not mourning for Yashael? The sexy reds, the Nicki Minaj's, the drug dealers, the strippers, the prostitutes, the deltas, the ministers, the witches, the warlocks, the whoremongers, the abusers, the manipulators. You don't look upon Yashael, the drug-filled, the drunken, the whored out Yashael, and aren't grieved and aren't mourning and aren't angry. What shall happen to them? Yahuwah says they shall besiege. And they now eat their defiled bread among the nations. All those who do not obey Yahuwah, Yahuwah shall make them to eat bread by weight and with care, and shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. They shall want bread and they shall want water, but they will consume away for their iniquities. Submit to Yahuwah. Wake up, Yashael, to who you are. And those who know, submit to Yahuwah and obey him truly. Because just as what he's spoken will come upon you if you do not obey Yahuwah. If you do not obey Yahuwah, you will perish from hunger, you will perish from the pestilence, and you will perish from the sword, and fire shall consume you. I'm talking about the end that is come. I'm talking about in the day of Yahuwah's judgment to come. I'm not talking about what happened then. I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about what's to come. If you do not subject yourself, O Yasharel, who bears the name of Yahuwah falsely. If you do not learn to be children of Yah, if you do not take this time that he has set up to teach you how to be his people and actually become those people of an obedient heart, of a willing heart, you will not be saved. For those who choose to humble themselves and subject themselves to Yah and truly stop avoiding what it is that they have to address and acknowledge before Yahuwah, there will be no second affliction for you. You shall be saved. Yahuwah shall make a way of escape for you. You shall not suffer. Yahuwah will save you by a mighty and great hand. Yahuwah, through his abilities alone, through his miracles, shall deliver you. And all shall know in that day, when that happens, and when those who do not follow Yahuwah are consumed through disease and hunger and thirst and through violence, shall know that Yahuwah has spoken it. Yahuwah will be comforted when those who've angered him are justly given the reward of their actions that have been against Yahuwah. Thus says Yahuwah Adonai Yahuwah. He will not be comforted until those that he gave himself to, that he gave his heart to, that he gave his love to, that he married, and have chosen to reject and decline his guidance, are destroyed. There's a recall that's out. There's a recall that Yahuwah has sent out. And it's against those who do not work. Those who are dysfunctional. Those who are broken. Foolish people are you who think that you are only saved and that you are good, that you are right in right standing with Yah just because you come out of Christianity or Islam or witchcraft or the esoteric spirit. Woe to you woe to you, foolish people, who think that just because you wrap your hair and you wear dresses now, that you are saved. No, that was a step for you to stop dressing and being as whores, for you to stop thinking as whores, for you to stop going to the Baal worship, for you to open up your word, for you to learn how to fast, for you to learn biblical Hebrew given by Yah to give you understanding of his word. That was just a step. Now Yahuwah is dealing with the reprogramming of your heart. He's dealing with the trauma, the wounds, all the things that make you up, that make you a person, all the things that have contributed to who you are, to what you become. Yahuwah is breaking Yasharel down. And the only way that you'll enter into his kingdom is if you be broken. Broken of your own mindsets, your personalities, your desires, your wills, your plans, your thoughts to do what you want to do. Your inability to follow him, your inability to follow instructions, your inability to be led, your inability to be taught. Yahuwah breaks. He breaks. He breaks you. Because altogether, you become so defiled as a vessel that you are supposed to be burnt with fire. Water or breaking of you wouldn't have sufficed. You are altogether tainted. But Yahusha has made it so that you could just be broken down, so that those same materials that which is you could maybe be remolded and reshaped, reused, that maybe we could start over and rebuild you. But you cannot be led and brought into his kingdom if you are already full. You don't know how to be the people of Yah. You has to teach you. We are a generation that was woken up who literally did not know who we are. We literally didn't know where we came from. At least those of old, even when they rebelled and were sent into captivities, they knew who they were. They've experienced Yah before. They saw Yah. They saw his miracles, his powers. They literally saw the hand of Yah in their midst. They knew their tribes, their families, their great-grandmother. They knew exactly who they were. But you, O generation, you have not known. Yet we have experience of the mercies in the hand of Yahuwah to be woken up. The evidence of his promise and his word, the revelation of his heart, was full of goodness and loving kindness. By waking us up, by only his power and what his hand could have done. Waking us up and then giving us the heart to understand, to see, to perceive, and to believe. That is the hand of Yahuwah alone. And then those of us who rejected him, who declined him, those of us who only go so far, you will be comforted when you're destroyed. Because you have the audacity to still show the tendencies of your father. You have the audacity to be familiar to Yahuwah in the negative. This is familiar. Oh, your fathers. Your fathers. When they would only go so far. When they would complain, when they would murmur, when they would rise themselves up, when they would pick their own kings, when they would say Yah's Ruach is with them, when they would say what they could do, when they would go and prove and make names for their own self. You're like your fathers who died in the wilderness. And if you do not subject and break, you will die in this wilderness, because we are in the wilderness right now. This is the testing and the trying. You have 120 years to prove your loyalty to God, to give up the things. Yahushua said no man can put their hand to the plow and look back. You are not fit for the kingdom if that is your state. If you can't be detached completely from this world, if you can't give things up, if you can't separate yourself, if you are not content and satisfied with just being a follower of Yahushua, with obeying, if you can't respect order, if you don't know how to operate as an honorable vessel and showing honor, if you can't honor your mother and your father, if you can't stand up at the face of the gray head, if you cannot give thanks for your teachers, you will die in the wilderness. Because in you, Yahuwah has found rebellion. In you, he has found the same thing he's found in your fathers, who could not and refused to follow him. Yahuwah has said it, and we shall see and know Yahuwah has spoken it when y'all see it come upon you. And I pray that this word will yield the perfect response unto Yahuwah, which is your acknowledgement of these things, your repentance, and you truly doing the work to fill yourself up through his living word, our instruction manual, to make you a better person. For you to rise up and operate as powers, as Yahuwah is. You're not the most high powers, but you are powers. And you're supposed to be acting like it. Yet we're diluting ourselves with our flesh and through sin. How dare we? How dare we?